Now available in paperback and Kindle, Vampires Stalk the Darkness of the Eternal Night. Get your copy of Eternal Night in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com. I was watching an Organic The Bachelor video where he was talking about playing politics with black masculinity. And in that video, he played a clip from a live stream from Reg the Bad Guy where Obsidian made the statement that a member of the alphabet community could lead heterosexual black men. Now, this statement shows me how deeply compromised the whole black manosphere is and how it's completely far away from the original mission of the black manosphere. Now, when the manosphere was originally created in 2015, it was supposed to be a space for heterosexual black men to be able to work together towards improving themselves and working towards building themselves up to become better black men and improve the quality of life in the black community. Unfortunately, over the last 5 years, the whole black manosphere has deteriorated into a place where black men go out here and bicker and argue with each other and go back and forth having beefs online. And instead of black men rising to leadership roles in the manosphere to be able to mentor the young brothers out here and be a role model and example of black manhood and black masculinity, we have seen many of the older black males like your Obsidian make compromises in an effort to try to find social acceptance. And that's where you start to see the playing politics with black masculinity, something no black man should do, because if you can let somebody dictate to you who should lead you, then you're not fit to be anybody who anybody should listen to, because a man has to have the discipline and resolve to stand on his principles and stand up for those principles when people challenge them. And again, when you see people talking about, oh, somebody else can lead the black manosphere, that shows us how weak those males who are in that space are, because the men who create a space should be the one setting a standard for that space and setting a tone for that space, and not allowing others to tell them who can lead them. No, they're the ones who are the leaders, and they're the ones who set the tone and the standards, and they will let you know that we are the ones in charge, and if you don't want to follow our standards, then you just can't be a part of this space. But that's par for the course, because the manosphere has completely deteriorated into, just as I've seen it, complete chaos over the last 2 years, and that's why we have infiltrators coming in looking to try to change the black manosphere and change the narrative of the black manosphere. Now, these people know that many of these black male YouTubers are very influential. They have large followings, and they want to try to change the narrative so that these males will go out here and follow the lead of white supremacy. So what they want to do is try to find a way to take control over these black male spaces. And I believe they did this with the Trojan horse of the high value man. Now, I don't know who this guy is, but I really believe he's an agent, and he's been placed here to try to infiltrate the black sector of YouTube and try to change the narrative of the black sector of YouTube. That's what I really do believe, because when I look at the big picture of things, I can see how this individual is an agent sent to try to change the narrative over black YouTube. And what's happening is that people they go for the things that that stimulate their emotions, like the whole high value man gimmick, and they start buying into that gimmick because it's telling them what they want to hear. And as they are told what they want to hear, what happens is they start buying into the rhetoric. And what happens is, as they're buying into the rhetoric and believing the rhetoric, instead of them creating the content that they originally created as related to their mission, they start buying into the rhetoric of something like the high value man, and they start talking about those talking points instead of expressing their own. So what the white supremacist wants to do is they trot out a black male to promote their narrative, and then as he's promoting his narrative, high value man, what happens is this guy is promoting this ideal that has things that are appealing to black men on the surface. However, there are Trojan horses on the inside of that narrative. And when we saw that whole discussion that Organic placed in that clip, it showed us how this Trojan horse was coming in to the black sector of YouTube to promote white supremacy's ideas about black men. And they got guys like Obsidian coming in, buying into the narrative to further continue pushing the narrative that they really want to push. And when he made that statement, he really showed what this whole thing is about. This whole thing is about having the Trojan horse come in, having him influence the weaker men in the manosphere, and then having those males go out here and then continue to push and promote the actual message which the white supremacists want pushed on these platforms, which is promoting the effeminization and emasculation of the black man. And if you have a black man who has been brainwashed to buy into these narratives, then what happens is those males start to follow the influence of the brainwashed male and start buying into that narrative and start believing that narrative. And what they do is have that to make these ideas legitimate, and then have them take over the whole platform of black male YouTube and have black people not talking about the topics that they're talking about right now, which are black empowerment, talking about things like group economics, talking about things like getting tangibles in exchange for their vote, just talking about building black families, talking about restoring black fathers, or talking about dealing with discrimination on the job and the unwritten social rules as related to racism. No, they don't want black men talking about those topics, especially heterosexual black men. No, the white supremacist wants to have his world smooth, and what he wants to do is see black men talking about high value men, because he wants the black male on this gynocentric road where all he's talking about are effeminate things like getting social currency through the women he gets, the clothing and shoes he buys and colognes he buys, or going out here chasing women, and or going out here and participating in effeminate behavior, which is the ultimate long-term goal. What they want to do is take control over the male space, take control over the narrative over the male space, and have the black males out here talking on these dysfunctional talking points. And that's what makes their world smooth, because as long as you've got the black male talking about foolishness, he's not talking about really improving himself. And that's what they want to see with the black males on platforms like YouTube. And if they can go out here and get an influencer like the high value man to come out here and change the narrative, then they can control all of the black sector of YouTube and take it off the original course. Because that's why you have this guy all coming out of nowhere dressed up in a suit, and then he's all talking these talking points, and playing to black people's emotions. This is not about black men self-improving. This is about taking black men down a road to effeminization, taking a black man down the road to emasculation, and stripping that black man of his manhood, stripping that black man of his male identity, and stripping that black man of a platform where he discussed his own issues. Because if you go out here and use compromised black males to go out here and continue to spread the message, then you can finally start to get control over the narrative. And that's what they want to do, is get control over the narrative of black men on YouTube, get control over the black men on YouTube, and ensure that their influencers are in place. And if their influencers are in place, these shills, all they will do is talk about topics that are considered non-threatening to the white supremacist, and then they will sit there and talk about things like gender war, or they will talk about things that they really want them to talk about, which is being effeminate and soft, and thinking that effeminized black men and emasculated black men are the social norm. They really want to stamp out black masculinity on the YouTube platform. They want to stamp out black manhood on the platform, and they want to replace black manhood with this socially engineered beta male on the platform, and this socially engineered soft effeminate black man, present him as the ideal of who that people should aspire to be on a social media platform. Now, your YouTube was the only place that black men who were heterosexual could go and freely express themselves. And for over a decade and a half, heterosexual black men have been under siege on this platform. And this latest campaign is just the second phase in trying to eliminate heterosexual black men. They tried to do it during the gender war, but then people filed a class action lawsuit and shut that down. And now they're trying to do it again, and they're trying to get these black men to be the agents in their own self-destruction. Because before, they used the black woman to go out here and try to go after the black man and these trolls, but now they want to use black men and manipulate black men into becoming the useful idiots who go out here and do the dirty work for them. So what they want to do is push these black males to the forefront, have them buy into this narrative, and then as they're buying into the narrative and putting on the suits and the ties, they don't understand that you are becoming the narrative that the white supremacist wants to see. This soft, emasculated black male who goes out here and pushes narratives that are very anti-black man, anti-heterosexual black man, anti-black family, and perpetuate and breathe brand new life into old stereotypes that the white supremacist wants, and new stereotypes that the white supremacist wants to see. An emasculated black male in a dress talking about how he's going to be a leader, but how can you be a leader when you're presenting yourself in a submissive position and acting like a follower? Because the whole high value man gimmick is about trying to get the black man onto a road to effeminization and have that black man acting like a female and not acting like a man. Because all of the points, leading with your wallet, these are simp behaviors, and we see that this road isn't just about making the black man into a simp. It is about making him a valuable tool to white supremacy by becoming this soft, submissive, weak black male who is no threat to white supremacy. So this is about trying to take the narrative of YouTube and turn it into a whole complete farce where we get a black man right in line with Hollywood's narrative for black men, a narrative where all we see practically every day on TV shows are these effeminate, soft black males every day, and make that image the ideal on not only mainstream media, but make that image the mainstream on social media. Because if you look at what's going on with your YouTube, they have this platform called YouTube Black, this event, and they wanted to bring all of these black YouTubers there to talk about, oh, how YouTubers were treated. But when you look at it, most of them were foreign-born blacks, and it's all about them trying to control the narrative and keep regular YouTube brothers like myself off the platform and keep us from talking about our issues and talking about the things that are important to us. So they don't want us talking about our issues. They want to have us out here being clowns, or have us out here talking about all sorts of silliness. They don't mind the black man talking about complete foolishness on this platform. Things like a gender war, things like going back and forth with another man, beefing and arguing with another man, and promoting dysfunction. That's entertainment for the white supremacist. That's entertainment for the white nationalist. That's even entertainment for the black woman in some cases, and the white woman, and people all over the world. But once you start speaking intelligently, like I am and many other black male YouTubers, you refute many of the false narratives presented about black men, and you refute many of the the racist stereotypes about black men. And the racists don't want you to see those black men who are out here being heterosexual, being responsible, being conscientious, being professional, because that refutes the ideas that make their smooth world go round. And they need the black man at the bottom acting a fool, or the black man presented as weaker than the white man, the Hispanic man, the Asian man, and the Arab man, so that they can feel some sense of value and some sense of worth. And that's why they need to try to infiltrate black male spaces and try to push certain narratives. Because we didn't hear these talking points back in 2015 when the Manosphere originally started by brothers like O'Shea Duke Jackson. We were hearing about black men improving themselves. We were hearing about black men going out here to do better. We were hearing about black men trying to do right. And we were hearing about black men talking about things like economics and business. Unfortunately, we've had an influx of weak black males, and these weak black males, what they have done is allowed infiltrators to come into your manosphere and practically destroyed the manosphere and compromised it. And what we're seeing now is, as they have compromised the manosphere, we've gotten these agents coming in, and now they're trying to take control over the narrative and then have their narrative as the singular narrative on the platform, because what they want to do is make it where there's only one type of black male allowed to be on your YouTube, and have that one type of black male pushing this narrative that is parroted to them by these white supremacists, where we getting these whole idea of these soft, emasculated, weak black males who talk about silly little things like clothes and shoes, and don't talk about things like getting tangibles in exchange for their vote, talk about things like group economics, talk about things like black empowerment, talk about things like improving the quality of life for black people. They don't want to hear black men talking about these subjects, because when black men talk about these subjects, it shows them as being leaders in their community, and it shows them as leaders who are in charge of themselves and securing themselves, and the type of men who will lead when it comes down to controlling their personal spaces, and also go out here and lead as related to controlling their communities and the narratives of their communities. And your white supremacists don't want you to see a black man in a leadership role. All they want you to see are these soft, effeminate, beta black males who are sitting here talking about expensive shoes, expensive clothes, or going back and forth with each other, or participating in deviant behavior, like talking about sex dolls. They love that type of content because, again, it's entertainment for the white supremacist, it's entertainment for the white nationalist, and they can go back to sleep feeling safe that the black man is at the bottom, because when you see images of incompetent, bumbling, stumbling black males on social media, it makes all those racists feel secure about their place in the world. It makes them feel secure about how the world is run. So they have no problem with those types of media, and that's why they will send Trojan horses to our media talking about things like high value and get a whole group of sycophants to follow them down a road where they will fall into the ocean just like a bunch of lemmings, and these people will not even know where they're going because they're following down this road with this ideology, and they follow down this road not understanding where this road is taking them. So what is being done here, you have to look at the bigger picture as related to things like this high value man, because this is not about getting men to improve themselves. This is about trying to take control over the black male space of YouTube and trying to take control over the black male sector of YouTube and trying to use these socially engineered black males to go out here and push their agenda and then have that agenda fit right in line with the mainstream media narrative that white supremacy is pushing as related to black men. Because you have to look at the mainstream images of these effeminized black males and these asexualized black males to see where they want to take black male YouTube, and that's what they want to do, is take control over the narrative. And what they will do is have one guy be influential, then have others go out here and follow him, and sadly the guys who follow him don't see how they're being used as pawns in this game towards trying to destroy the image of black men, something many black men were trying to fight against because they wanted to present a positive and empowered image of black men on media, and that's something many in these social media spaces don't want, because when you start to see responsible, educated, professional, heterosexual black men in spaces like YouTube, they are a genuine refutation of many of these racist stereotypes that have been going on and perpetuated for years regarding the image of black men. So that's why black men have to go out here and continue to stand on their own, because we cannot rely on a manosphere anymore, because that manosphere has been compromised, and the individuals who are a part of that manosphere have sold us out. They would rather get social currency and social influence with people who work against us and work against the positive image of black manhood. These individuals don't want you to see positive black manhood because they want to get theirs, and they've got the mindset of I've got mine, F you, and what they want to do is screw over all these brothers out here and push them down a road where they're going to be headed towards self-destruction. But we have to understand that, though, again, in order to understand media, you have to understand, again, those who control the money control the media, and those who control the media control the narrative. But we can push back against that by taking control over our own media, taking control over our own narrative, taking control over our own image, and standing up for not heterosexual black masculinity by continuing to stand on our own outside of compromised spaces like the manosphere. If you'd like to learn more about how men make compromises like this, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com, because the black manosphere is in the middle of a man crisis, and many of these men do not know how to stand and be leaders. So you can learn how to be a leader with The Man Crisis on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find it on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.